Departing Campbell River, Tuesday, June 23rd. So give us a fairly leisurely pace to get going here. We've only got, you can see the route here to Campbell River to Port Neville. We'll get started about noontime here for the dreaded Seymour Narrows. We're going to go through at an ebb. Ebb heads north in Seymour Narrows. We're looking to get some speed out of this, so we're going to go through it just about max ebb, but unfortunately there's only going to be about 3 or 4 knots of current in there, so we won't get a big ride, but a nice push all along the way. Exiting Campbell River here, we'll be a little careful. There's a ferry terminal and a bunch of concrete stuff right here. We will be leaving on an ebb tide going north. You want to be really careful and keep your eye on this, because you can get swept into this structure pretty easily. If you're distracted and putting fenders away or something like that, you're going to be real careful. Make sure you get out in the stream and headed north before you start putting things away. It's happened pretty fast. So we'll go ahead and run this. Again, we're going to be running this at 7 knots. The boats that are a little slower can get out an hour ahead of us, still catch the nice current there at Seymour Narrows. We're playing this, you can see we're moving along pretty fast here on a rising current. We'll have about 1.3 knots as we leave Campbell River, current with us. As we approach Seymour Narrows here, things get a little more exciting. 2.5 knots as we go by. We're looking at 3.7 as we go through Seymour Narrows. On an ebb, there won't be much in the way of whirlpools or anything. Most of the whirlpools, the big ones, really occur on the flood tide out here as it exits this choke point. We'll have a couple little ones here on the ebb, but not much. So we'll go scooting right on through here. You see the current's going to be with us pretty much the whole way to Port Neville. I'm going to get this. We'll have a nice current all the way with us. Still 1.6. Not a big ebb this year, but everything we can get helps. We're going to be going 50 miles, 50.4 miles to Port Neville. Like I said, I haven't been to Port Neville before. It's got some historical value, but there's not much left here. There is a dock that you can tie up to. Not room for all the boats, of course, so we'll wind up anchoring in there. So coming into Port Neville, one of the reasons I wanted to break this up in this leg into 2 pieces, we will be getting in here about 6 o'clock in the evening to Port Neville, set some crab traps, and the next leg to Booker Lagoon on Broughton Island. The next leg is going to be 41 miles, so we'll have a fairly short day. So and we won't leave until 11 o'clock on Wednesday to catch the current going north. I'm getting a little out of phase here, but I wanted to spend a little time, see if we can catch some crab before we go into Booker Lagoon. So leaving Port Neville 11 o'clock Wednesday morning, and same as before, we'll run this at 7 knots. The boats that are a little slower, that want to leave a little earlier, you can see we're just leaving on the change of the tide here. Boats want to leave a little early, it's still going to be fine. One of the reasons we wanted to split this route up this year is here's our first opportunity as we turn off towards the Broughton Islands to get into Blackfish Sound. Really keep your eyes open for killer whales, the resident killer whales that live here, and then again in Blackfish Sound we usually always see some humpbacks. Last year we got a really great eagle show right coming through the current here, lots of bait in the water, lots of birds and lots of eagles. So we're going to ease through here. You can see we've got 1.4 knots on the ebb going with us, but keep your eye open in here in Blackfish Sound for whales. The other kind of critical part on this is catching the entrance to Booker Lagoon, and this year we're going to catch it on a low tide, so we're going to try and get to Booker Lagoon at slack, and this will be low slack. There's plenty of water getting through there. This will be our first little narrow entrance. I'll pause that. And Cullen Harbor is where the guidebooks say the anchorage is, but if you go in here, there's a nice little path through there. It's showing 20 feet deep, but really we see about 40 feet going through there. Once we get into Booker Lagoon, this is our favorite little anchorage spot, and we'll be anchoring the boats along this shelf. It's pretty steep too here, and we'll be anchoring and then stern tying to the trees. So this will be our first stern tie operation. We'll get a dinghy launched and help everybody out by sending somebody to the beach and then retrieving your stern line. We can anchor all the way around to here. This this little island group here is where we're going to have a picnic if the weather is agreeable. There is a rock right here that's not exposed. It's not on this chart, but when we get in there a little closer, I'll show you where that is. This chart is not exactly right. This island is out of place. There's a rock in here. At low tide, it's only about 3 or 4 feet deep, so we're going to be careful about that. So we're going to line the boats up all along here, and we can even get one in here tied to a tree. Nice little spot. Then we're going to relax, stay a couple of days depending on the weather, get the kayaks out. All of this area in here, this lagoon, is really a nice area for the kayaks. You can ride the rapids through here when the tide's going in and out, to get the dinghies out, get a little experience with some good current right in there and how to handle it. So Booker Lagoon, we'll start our cruise. Traditionally we start our cruise here. We slow down and stay as long as the weather holds out. Beautiful little spot. There's a nice shrimp hole over here. Out into the main channel, there's good salmon fishing if they're in. Some good bottom fishing along here too. We get some lingcod and rock cod through here. So one of my favorite spots, first big stop on the route. Spending some time in Booker Lagoon, I'll be keeping my eye on the weather and getting set up for Queen Charlotte Strait. Queen Charlotte Sound in here and Queen Charlotte Strait. So this, leaving Booker Lagoon, will be our first look at the ocean. So we'll there's some strategy for that, and I'll explain all that in the next leg.